Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to try to fix this knife. I don't know how this is going to come out. I was going to do a giveaway on this knife, but you can see the back spring broke right there on the knife. And so this just flops around. And so the way I'm going to fix that is I'm going to make it into one layer knife. So it's a 2-layer knife rather than put another back spring in there, which we could do that, but that's a long process. I'm going to cut this back spring out of there, and I'd like to invite you all in for the ride. Hey, welcome back to the Fortified Castle Hide, all my viewers. You can see I've been practicing doing my lanyard stuff. This is a snake knot, pretty cool. This is a cobra knot. You can see here how it kind of rears up. It actually does this. As you do the knot, it kind of rears up. I guess that's why they call it a cobra. These are snake knots. But I'm just practicing my knot stuff. But today, we're going to get into this. This is a remodeled Rough Ryder, and I wanted to do a giveaway on it. I put this coin in here and all this cool stuff. And when I went to clean it, the back spring broke. So you can see that right there. Here's the back spring. Actually, you could slip it down in there if you wanted to. I pulled it out for the video, but yeah, it just sits down in there. So yeah, what I'm going to do is cut this little blade out of here, and then repin the knife as a single blade. And I don't anticipate having any problems doing that. I am going to have to take this middle pin out here also. So that may, when I actually put that back in there and finish the pin, it may rub a little of this red off. I can always re-dye this though. I'm thinking of dyeing this black. The line's black anyhow. I think that would look better than all red. But so yeah, we'll see where this little adventure takes me. All right, we're back down in the dungeon. So popping, the biggest impediment to popping this thing apart is if you look close, you can't see the pins here. So you need to pop these pins to be able to take this part and not destroy it. And none of the pins are visible on this, except of course the back spring pin. So initially I thought I would take a screwdriver and pry a little bit in this area here and try to pop these pins a little. I know that'll work. I've done it before, but I'm going to try the knife doctor method. And so this is a razor blade. Kevin, the knife doctor, has showed that he uses these razor blades to cut these pins. So I'm going to try that first and see if that'll work. If it will, then the problem is you guys still try to work that pin out because you still don't know where it is. But you'll have to work it out from the inside, but it'll do less damage than drilling actually. So we're going to try that. Yes, I'm going to try taking it from the inside. There's a little bit of leeway there, not a whole lot. Let's see if we can get in there. Man, I'm going to beat on the end of this. Okay, I got a little bit of wood to put on the other end there. So don't damage that end. And let's see so you can see. Good right there. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Well, it's definitely separated it. Don't think we've cut through yet. Boom. Hey, it works, Kevin. Yep. Right through there. And got this other side here. Try to get through it. It's going to be harder because that back spring's there. Let me try to get this rest of the back spring out first. Okay, cool. The razor cut through my glove. Man, I just can't go without working and not getting my hands cut. So, I popped this in first. You can see it popped. And then I went down here. I thought it'd be easier if I popped this in. And I got this in pop. So the only thing holding this knife together, let me see. You can see right there, it's a center pin. So we're going to pop that center pin next. And then I'll be able to take it apart. All right, I just wanted to show you real quick on some of these pins here. I'm taking these edges, they're kind of girded up from the process of removing them. So I'm just taking a little file here and rounding off the edges a little bit before I punch them through. This is my last little bit here. I got them out of all the other the other side of the knife. And she's out. All right, my friends. Before I put this knife back together, I was pretty successful on getting these pins out without nicking anything up. And I wanted to talk about 2 points before I get to putting this knife together. So this is the broke spring right here. You can see that it broke right at the pivot point right there. Just snapped. And there was no stress. It just snapped. So is this Rough Ryder's fault that this pin broke like that? So there's a couple things I want to point out. Where this pivot goes into, it's wider. So that's why these dips, these little hills are here. And I've had people ask this question to me before. Like they'll ask, why do you have these little dips and valleys on a backspring? You can see it comes to like a point right there where the pins go through. The pins go through there. And the answer is it has to be a little thicker there where the pin goes through, or it'll break. So you can question whether there's enough really there to keep these things from breaking. It's not a lot. And so I have older case knives, and I've looked at the older case knives, and in that little hill or projection in the back spring is about the same size as this one right here. And it's not a lot. If you look at the distance between, it's about the same as this right here. If you look at that pin and where it lines up, it's about the same. So I don't think necessarily they're not putting enough metal in here. And if you look at 1940 knives, it's quite a bit more. So they really humped up here. There was a lot more room in the pivot pins. So the reason there was so much more material here pre-1940 was the steel, okay? So even though it doesn't matter what steel is, 8CR13, 1095, no matter what steel it is, the steel is just better today because of the manufacturing process. And so the processes we use today to make steel pull off a lot of the contaminants in steel that pre-1940 was present in the metal. And so they just had to, like the back springs had to be thicker. This is fairly thin. They had to be a lot thicker pre-1940, and everything had to be bigger because of the poor quality of the steel. So I don't think I would fault them for the space here. It could be bigger, right? So why did that break? So even though the steel is much cleaner, much stronger because of that nowadays, you are still going to get gaps in this steel. You're going to get things you don't see, little tiny gaps, and you also get these accumulations of carbon, because chromium attracts carbon, and so you get that in your steel. I think this is a stainless steel, by the way, but and those little gaps in that steel make it weaker. And so I think for the most part, I'm still not really worried about Rough Ryder's back springs, even though one broke. And I just think that every now and then you're going to get that gap uh, right right where you have a pivot point, which makes it worse. It's uh, there's no way to prevent that. And so I just think every now and then you're going to get these springs that break. If I magnified this 10 times, and when you look at it, there is a little gap here where it broke. And I think that was luck of the draw. So that's all I got to say about that. The second thing I wanted to point out is when you look at this, people have asked me in the past, why is this gap here? Why doesn't this just go straight across? Why do they cut these little valleys in the metal? And people have looked down in the knives like this, and you can look down here, and this area right here is relatively flat, and it's flat right here where the tang, right there where the tang hits, but you have this valley right here. And they cut those valleys in there to make the spring softer. So the thicker the metal, the stronger the spring is going to be. And you mitigate that in two ways. One, you can move the pin back, which will it gives you more spring here. But if you wanted this spring to be stronger and move the pen this way, it would make the pen stronger because you have less room to open that spring, so it would be stronger at this point. Or you can move it back a little. Now I have knives, I showed one in a video the other day where the spring was back a little, and the knife has good action, but that's one way that they mitigate the spring tension. The other way, though, is these valleys. So they still cut these valleys out to make the spring lighter, not as heavy. And that's why you get these valleys cut out in your springs. It's so that the spring is not so strong that you can't open and close the knife, or that it's so strong that it'll tend to break the back spring. So I just wanted to cover that before I put this back together. Didn't have a lot of trouble getting these out. Nice and clean here. I was able to drive them out from the back side. The other thing I wanted to mention to y'all, when you look at this back, you can see these lines in here. You can feel this. So as I rub my hand across here, it's rough. You can hear it. Hear that? And so this has a grit finish of maybe 220 on here, and it's not finished. And that is why you feel this is a way to save money. In the old days, they used to polish these areas up, and that is the reason why you feel that grit when your blade is turning on here. That blade is hitting this. You could see the troughs in there, so it's just hitting that. And a really well made knife, like a custom knife maker, would never leave a knife like a bearing surface like that. It would be polished off. Now you could polish off these ends and still leave this rough. Hello, snap in. You could still leave that rough, but you'd have a polished area here, which would provide for a smooth blade. So it's just one of the ways that these companies are making, cutting costs to provide an affordable product for you. It is just by not using the best possible procedures. Nothing wrong with that. It's just going to feel a little rough. After years of service, this will get polished, right? So the hard metal will polish this down. But in the meantime, you feel that little grittiness in it. And same thing with these So you look at the back spring and you can see the grit lines on the back spring. So they have polished it some, but it's kind of rough. And you can see what that is doing right there. See that? So that's already the blade is digging into this back spring. And what that makes me believe is that these things are not tempered, right? So if they were, a back spring needs to be hardened and it needs to be tempered. And if it's not, you're going to have problems. And that may be the case with this. They may not have tempered this back spring, and that may be why it broke. So anyhow, just information for you guys. And I'll go ahead and put this back together and show you the finished product. Well, this is it, the finished product. I got the blade back on there pretty much the way that it come off. This was a two-bladed knife. It broke, the back spring broke, and then so that's my pen job there. I think that come out pretty good. Put a nice mirror polish on that bolster. And that's the other side. And we got it all put back together. So I think this pen's come out pretty good. I'm satisfied with that. Could be better. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. There's a center pin. I even was able to round that center pin over here. Feels pretty good. It's a little thick there. I don't have a small peen hammer, so I was using actually a 16-ounce hammer, and I didn't want to crack this bone or mess up the dye job on it. I know I could re-dye it, but I just didn't want to do it. And so yeah, we took a knife that broke. That's the secondary blade, and we took out that bad back spring, put her together, and it's a single bladed knife now. So yeah, there she is. Pretty cool.